In the last video, we have discovered that our iOS application crashes when we try to sign in with Google. And when we try to inspect our console log, we can't really see a clear reason for why this is happening or what we can do to fix it. And what I can tell you is that this is not a stack trace that comes from the Flutter SDK, but rather it is an exception that is raised by the Google Sign-in iOS library itself. And the reason that we get this error is that I have forgotten one configuration step that is required to enable Google Sign-in on iOS. So to work out what's missing, we can head to this page on the browser, and here we can find some instructions on Google Sign-in for iOS. And then we need to scroll down to this section, which is called Implement Google Sign-in. Over here, we can find some instructions. So the only change that we need to do is explained in this step over here. And just to be clear, we don't need to make any code changes. Alright, so let's get back to Android Studio, and I'm going to show you what changes we need to make. And what we want to do is to open our iOS module with Xcode in the same way that we have done before. So we can select the iOS folder over here and then Flutter, open module with Xcode. And once Xcode is open, on the left panel, we want to locate a file called info.plist, which looks like this. On this file, we want to add a new line. So the way that we can do this is to tap on any of the existing lines and then press on this small plus button over here. And this will create a new line. So we can start typing in capitals URL types, which is what is suggested by Xcode. So if I press enter, this is now added as a line. And then I want to open up this new item by pressing on the arrow, which is on the left. And I can see that this is showing an item, which is called URL identifier. What I want to do here is to rename this to URL schemes instead, like this. And URL schemes defines an array of values. So I'm going to open up this as well, and the first item is a string. And in here, I need to add a very specific string value. And that value is contained in the Google service-info.plist configuration file that we have downloaded when we have set up our iOS app with Firebase. So in here, I'm looking for a key called reverse client ID. So what I'm going to do is to select the corresponding value, which is a string. I'm going to copy this, and then back into the info.plist file, I'm going to select this and paste the value over here. And just to be clear, this is the value that was generated when I've configured my Firebase project. So in your case, you're going to have a different value because you're going to have a different Google service-info.plist file. Okay, so this is what we have to do to ensure that Google Sign-in works with our iOS application. So please make sure that you have followed these steps correctly, otherwise your project won't work. And now we can head back to Android Studio and we can try to run the iOS app again. So the build has now started, and I'm going to resume the video once it's finished. Alright, so we now have our application up and running, and once again I can tap on the Sign in with Google button. And this time I can see that there is a pop-up that shows on the screen, and this confirms that we have fixed our problem. So let's continue on the next video.